Nice spot, huh? Nice digs, big pants.
Thank you, brother. Marty, cool. Good to see you.
Hey, Marty.
How are you?
Hey, Ryan, how you doing?
Yeah. You can see who's got all the money. Yes.
Yeah. You
Clearly
gentlemen?
step in with all the nice stuff. You're in there. Doesn't matter.
Have a sit.
How we doing, gentlemen?
You can't hide money.
Pink pants.
All the
They're
time.
high. I know. I don't think you got those at
Tight
Roberts.
pants.
Take some big old balls.
I sat down a while ago and thought, I'm going to blow the knees out of the knees. Man. I got to get off the potato chips.
I just want to start by saying thank you both, because some of the sweetest moments in my life, you two and the work you've done over all these years plays the soundtrack to those sweet memories. And I'm so grateful for you. And I know that might be a unique way to start an interview, but I told myself I'd never forgive myself if I didn't take a minute to say that.
A sensitive moment.
That is. That's cool.
I'm wearing pink pants.
I know. I was
I was going to say it. A sensitive man.
I was moved by the pants.
Thank you. Yeah, I was expecting the other shoe to fall here. You know, I owe you because I really didn't like her. But, I found out Neon Moon really is about a drunk in the corner of a bar. It was not the one that we fell in love with.
And it's always easier to take almost somebody coming at you with the negative thing than it is for somebody like give you a compliment. So thanks.
I mean, I do mean it. And I'm so curious, throughout this entire journey, what do both of you consider to be your crowning achievement?
To still be here.
Longevity.
Yeah. We used to say that back in the day before they had Google. What are you guys looking for? Like longevity? How do you spell that?
Yeah, but we really didn't believe it. A record company guy put us together, and we screwed up and wrote a couple of hits that same week. And we made a 3-year plan, which we thought was really stupid. We're like, we'll never make it 3 years. We didn't know each other. So to think we're sitting there 30 years later.
We know one another.
I know. Yeah, and kind of brothers at this point.
Well, and honestly, we'll be honest with you guys. We have been doing our show together for a decade and a half, and we talk about y'all all the time.
Yeah.
About, there's tough times.
It's a marriage.
And there's breakups, and then there's getting back together. So, I mean, we try to learn from y'all. How have you made it work for so long?
This is funny. There's a George Harrison documentary, and at the end, they talk about George being all that rock star stuff they do. And
Those pants are getting to you, aren't they?
they're killing me. I'm about to bust a knee here. Anyway.
You don't have a spare pink pair, do you?
I can get a pair here in 10 minutes.
Give him something.
Good, brother.
I'm sure
something
that
to talk about.
65,000 out there would appreciate them.
2440s. So they asked George Harrison's wife. He said, well, what's the secret to a long marriage? And she just sat there for a minute and then went, stay married. Just keep doing it. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
Everything between that's just, deep breath.
Make it work.
And generally,
Yeah.
we keep our disagreements to disagreements. Never raised our voices to each other. A couple of hard-headed, guys that came up with pipeline dads and whatever. It's not that we don't know how to throw a fit, but.
If you say something smart to a pipeline dad, you can wake up the next day.
we go to our separate corners and come back with a different attitude at least.
Take the bullets out of the gun.
Yeah.
We both had the blessing of knowing Dale Earnhardt, but we knew him as reporters in that type of relationship. You guys knew a different Dale Earnhardt than we knew. Who was the man in black to you guys?
He's pretty intense on the personal side. Tell him about throwing you in the water and with sharks and stuff after you caught the marlin.
Yeah, we were fishing down, had our families together, on his boat, and we had caught fish all day long. I'm, worn out, and went up top and was drinking a beer, and he's cleaning off the back deck on his fishing boat. It's a 51-foot Hatteras, nice fishing boat. I just looked out the front, and these marlin were just jumping and playing a couple of 100 yards out in front of the boat, just kind of following along like dolphins kind of do. But they were just said, Earnhardt, check this out. You know, he's, holy shit! He starts throwing lines back in the water. We're gonna get them. You're not gonna catch those fish, and I am done pulling fish in. And we had caught mahi and wahoo and just fish all day. My son had caught a bunch of tuna heads because the water's full of sharks down there in San Salvador where we were fishing. Anyway. So sure enough, I see a mahi hit back there, and he goes, "We got one. I told you, get down there. You're gonna reel him in." I go, "I'm not gonna reel him in. You reel him in. I'm tired of catching fish. You know, hey, get your ass. Okay. So I go down the ladder. I put about two cranks on it, man. This marlin jumps out of the water. I was wrong, and he can't get excited enough. It's like, you know what you did? I told you. We get him upside of the boat, and we plugs him with a tag and gets his marlin flag up, and he's just, you know what you've done? I know. I caught another fish. I'm gonna go finish my beer.
Priority.
Yes.
Yeah, he was like a kid, like a kid sporting sports. So go ahead.
So I go up top, and so he's got this whole bucket full of chum, bloody chum that we've been using for bait and whatever. So he says, shut the boat down. He goes, look at these sea turtles, and he dumps a chum over there. He goes, man, check this out, KB. And hell, I wanted to see the sea turtles, so I go sliding back down. When I looked over the side, he grabbed me by the seat of the pants and just threw me out there in that bloody water. And I'm sure it was like a Tarantino movie because I wouldn't even move my legs. I'd come up and get a breath. I'm sure blood all over my face and everything.
Not
else.
splash.
And he takes, let's go, Terry, talking to the captain. And they take off. I can hear my wife screaming every time I come up, profanities as the boat gets smaller and smaller in the distance. Finally, it was funny enough, and he came back and got me, and I still have most of my body parts. So yeah, but
It was funny enough.
He didn't do cute, and I was always looking over my shoulder when we were in the pits or anything like that, because if he was hiding somewhere, most of the times in the garage, if he knew you were coming and you're going down, it's like just like 8-year-olds wrestling, it's like bam, and you're on the ground. It's like, good to see you stuff.
He, when we first met him, his hand was in a cast. We started asked what happened, and somebody had shot a deer on his land, and then they were going to sneak around and come get it like at night. And he goes and lays down in the grass and hides until they get there, and he pops the guy and breaks his hand. So he's just in the cast. That's just,
Sure happened with one hand.
Got super excited. But he was intense. Richard Childress tells a story about him being on horseback. What was it, up in Montana?
It was New Mexico. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he reached down and popped the horse. They were on a cliff. And Earnhardt reached down and hits the horse, right?
Completely fearless.
With the rest of it, what he thought was funny, us mere mortals are all completely terrified. Like every prank sounds awful. Unless it was him.
He lived out there on the edge, scary, but not to him.
Yeah.
Guy that takes a nap before every race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys have had this amazing career, but TikTok and Instagram, like these songs have had this second life. What has that been like for y'all you have the multi-generational songs, but now kids dancing to it in the living room and all these things. What's that been like for you guys?
It's used to if you were a songwriter and then you went away or whatever, like we did a little break. After a while, that's a depleting asset, they call it in the business. So it's kind of done, And then the internet comes around, and as much as people gripe about not getting paid enough, Neon Moon takes off, and goes viral, and it creates a whole different thing. Here we are.
It's interesting too because, probably in the 70s and 80s, a hit was recorded a lot. Curly Putman told me Green Green Grass at Home was recorded over 80 times just by artists in America, and something like 800 times worldwide. It's not that people don't ever cover songs, but that, Kenny Rogers would cut this one and time. Acts that were real hits, Waylon, everybody would. If it was a big song, MacArthur Park, everybody does it, And now it's like, I think TikTok has kind of taken the place of that, where a song has a different life, and it picks up, and the world out there somehow, jumps on it. It's the new word of mouth too, which is interesting.